If you are in your senior year, stop doing these 7 things right now. As individuals navigate the journey of their later years, a critical self-reflection often emerges regarding the deeply ingrained habits cultivated over a lifetime. These behaviors, once seemingly benign or even necessary, can gradually and subtly begin to erode the very fabric of one's quality of life. The passage of time brings with it a unique perspective, revealing how certain routines, once easily managed or perhaps ignored, now exert a profound and often negative influence, silently diminishing energy reserves, straining cherished relationships, and ultimately impeding the capacity to fully embrace the richness that life continues to offer. It is a compelling realization that liberation from just a handful of these entrenched patterns holds the potential to dramatically enhance not only emotional tranquility and overall physical health, but also the profound sense of personal happiness and contentment. The subsequent discourse will meticulously unveil 7 pivotal practices that demand immediate cessation to reclaim comprehensive control over one's existence. Each of these practices possesses an insidious power to constrain individual potential in ways previously unimaginable, impacting everything from the subtleties of interpersonal communication to the fundamental perception of one's own physical and emotional well-being. By conscientiously addressing these 7 crucial areas, a transformative path unfolds, empowering individuals to truly maximize the unparalleled opportunities and profound satisfactions inherent in their golden years. A dedicated engagement with this guidance until its conclusion is highly encouraged, for by proactively disengaging from these hindering behaviors today, one stands not only to extend the quantitative measure of years in their life, but far more significantly, to infuse those years with an unparalleled depth of living, a life rich in hard-won wisdom, profound autonomy, and an authentic, deeply resonant fulfillment. Whether the aspiration is to reassert one's voice in the world, to forge renewed and meaningful connections with those in their immediate sphere, or to rediscover the inherent joy found in life's most elegant and simple pleasures, every single strategy explored herein is meticulously designed to facilitate the unlocking of a future that is undeniably richer, more satisfying, and imbued with greater purpose. There is a palpable urgency in this message. Do not allow these invaluable insights to pass you by, for it is entirely plausible that your most vibrant and rewarding years are not behind you, but rather lie dynamically ahead, waiting to be fully embraced. For those not yet part of this community, subscribing and activating the notification bell is highly recommended to ensure no future video is missed, as your consistent support forms the very foundation of this endeavor. Furthermore, if the wisdom shared within these reflections resonates deeply, an expression of appreciation through a like and a share would be profoundly instrumental in extending these valuable lessons to a broader audience, thereby amplifying their positive impact. Should the thematic content of this exploration align with your interests, a simple comment of 1 is invited. Conversely, if it falls short of expectations, a 0 would be genuinely appreciated, providing invaluable feedback for continuous improvement and the creation of more pertinent and impactful future content. Now, with a prepared mind and an open heart, let us commence this transformative journey. For the revelations that are about to unfold possess the profound capacity to fundamentally alter one's perspective and reshape the trajectory of their life. We are poised to embark upon a deep and incisive exploration into the 7 foundational practices that necessitate immediate cessation. These behaviors, frequently performed without conscious awareness, are steadily and relentlessly depleting vital energy reserves, systematically eroding inner peace, and perhaps most tragically, creating a widening chasm between an individual and the life of authentic fulfillment and profound happiness they inherently deserve. This undertaking transcends mere superficial adjustments. It represents a resolute commitment to re-establish comprehensive control over one's life narrative, one's emotional landscape, and the very blueprint of one's future. The time for passively enduring life's motions has definitively concluded, it is now the opportune moment to commence living with deliberate intention and conscious purpose. The first critical habit demanding immediate cessation is the tendency to accept everything people say without the vital practice of questioning it. Reflect for a moment on the frequency with which an automatic nod of agreement escapes, merely to circumvent potential discord or perceived friction. Consider how often personal thoughts and deeply felt emotions are consciously suppressed, simply to avoid unsettling the established equilibrium or rocking the boat. This pattern is remarkably prevalent amongst a vast number of individuals, becoming increasingly entrenched as one progresses through life stages. Somewhere along the intricate path of personal development and societal conditioning, a deeply ingrained belief often takes root that maintaining a superficial sense of peace is synonymous with remaining silent, assenting to the views of others, and meticulously avoiding any form of protest or disruption. Yet, here lies a painful and undeniable truth. Each instance of agreement with something not genuinely believed, every occasion where a yes is uttered while the inner being silently screams no, represents a subtle yet significant chipping away at one's intrinsic self-worth. It is a slow, methodical relinquishment of a precious piece of oneself, incrementally, until a day may arrive when recognition of one's own identity becomes a bewildering challenge. The rationale for this behavior often centers on the desire to preempt unnecessary drama or stress, to smoothly navigate social interactions. However, the profound irony is that in this pursuit of superficial tranquility, something immeasurably more valuable is forfeited: one's authentic voice. When the act of questioning ceases, when the courage to stand firm for personal convictions wavers, an insidious process begins whereby others, whether consciously or unconsciously, commence dictating the parameters of one's existence. Power is unwittingly ceded, allowing external influences to shape personal decisions. And this, unequivocally, constitutes a gradual and deeply painful erosion of autonomy, a profound diminishment of one's core identity. It is a phenomenon observed repeatedly throughout the journey of life. Individuals erroneously conclude that with advancing age, their opinions diminish in relevance, their decisions lose significance. This perception, however, is starkly divergent from the truth. The profound reservoir of wisdom and unparalleled experience accumulated over decades is an invaluable asset, bestowing a unique perspective and a depth of understanding that younger generations, by their very nature, simply have not yet acquired. Therefore, the question arises with compelling force: why should an individual, endowed with a lifetime of profound lessons, choose to silence their own voice? Reflect upon the myriad instances where words yearned to be spoken but were withheld, the moments of profound disagreement where silence was chosen in the name of preserving an external peace. The stark reality is that such actions do not merely maintain harmony with others, they fundamentally disrupt the inner peace within oneself. Every individual possesses an inherent right to be heard, to actively participate in the shaping of their own life's narrative. Never should external pressures or internal doubts lead to the belief that one's voice is inconsequential. In fact, at this stage of life, it resonates with greater significance than ever before, emanating from a place of deep, lived experience and hard-earned wisdom. The cessation of critical questioning and the adoption of blind agreement with others inexorably weakens the capacity for self-defense and the making of independent, self-directed choices. Over an extended period, this insidious process can culminate in overwhelming feelings of helplessness, fostering a pervasive sense that life is merely an occurrence happening to oneself, rather than an active journey shaped by oneself. It is imperative to disrupt this debilitating cycle. The time has arrived to reclaim one's authentic voice, to implicitly trust personal judgment, and to render decisions that are firmly rooted in one's own deeply held values and beliefs, rather than those imposed or assumed by others. This reclamation is not an act of defiance, but an affirmation of self, a profound step towards living a life truly aligned with one's innermost being. The second crucial habit requiring immediate cessation is the detrimental practice of isolating oneself socially. It is an understandable inclination that as life progresses, the allure of retreat can become overwhelmingly potent. The prospect of remaining within the comfortable confines of home, of sidestepping social gatherings, and of allowing once vibrant friendships to gradually wane into obscurity can appear to be the path of least resistance. The sheer energetic expenditure required to diligently maintain existing relationships or to embark on the challenging endeavor of cultivating new connections can at times feel utterly exhausting. Yet here lies an unvarnished and often painful truth. Isolation is a relentless thief. It systematically plunders the precious treasures of genuine connection, of shared joy, and ultimately of the very essence of what it profoundly means to experience life in its fullness. For those who continue to engage with these insights, a comment of one is a welcome affirmation of your presence. Loneliness transcends a mere emotional state. It manifests with tangible physiological consequences. Extensive research consistently demonstrates that protracted periods of social isolation can precipitate a cascade of serious health afflictions, encompassing an elevated predisposition to heart disease, the debilitating grip of depression, and even a measurable decline in cognitive function. The human brain is intricately hardwired for connection. We are fundamentally social beings, intrinsically designed to share the tapestry of our lives with others, to engage in the vibrant exchange of ideas, to partake in shared laughter, to offer solace in moments of sorrow, to collectively experience the full spectrum of human emotion. When an individual consciously severs ties with the broader world, the action extends far beyond the simple avoidance of social discomfort. It represents a profound deprivation of the vital nourishment that both mind and body unequivocally require to flourish. It is acknowledged that withdrawal can feel like the more accessible option, particularly when energy levels naturally diminish with age, or when the perception arises that fewer commonalities exist with others than in earlier life stages. However, the resounding truth is that an immense wealth of experience, stories, and wisdom resides within each individual, treasures that others are eager and in need of hearing. One must never underestimate the transformative power of genuine connection, even if it manifests in the seemingly modest form of a shared conversation over a comforting cup of coffee or a heartfelt phone call with a cherished old friend. When the insidious grip of isolation begins to tighten, loneliness inevitably creeps in, and this loneliness is akin to a slow-acting poison, meticulously eroding not only emotional equilibrium, but also physical vitality. It permeates every dimension of existence, often subtly at first, a quiet, almost imperceptible sensation of solitude. But over time, it can evolve into a deep, pervasive sadness, an aching void, a profound sense that something fundamental and essential is conspicuously absent from life. Yet, within this somber reality, there resonates a profound beacon of hope. It is unequivocally never too late to reestablish connection, never too late to extend a hand to those within one's orbit, be they family members, long-lost friends, or even nascent acquaintances encountered along life's continuing journey. Proactivity and nurturing relationships that genuinely imbue life with joy is paramount. Waiting for others to initiate contact can prolong the period of isolation. The courage to step beyond the boundaries of one's comfort zone, even incrementally, is a powerful act of self-care. Attend that social gathering previously avoided. Pick up the telephone and dial the number of someone with whom communication has lapsed. The profound improvement in well-being that accompanies the courageous act of reopening oneself to connection can be astonishing. It is vital to remember that the objective is not constant proximity to a multitude of people, but rather the cultivation of meaningful interactions that genuinely enrich one's life. Whether through intimate conversations with trusted friends, active participation in a community group, or simply by being more authentically present with individuals already known, connection remains an indispensable cornerstone of overall well-being. Do not permit isolation to steal this vital component of a fulfilling life. Every individual deserves to feel genuinely connected, deeply valued, and truly seen. Reach out, reconnect, and allow oneself to become an active, vibrant participant in the world once more. The joy, peace, and profound fulfillment sought may well be discovered to be far closer than ever imagined. It might seem daunting to forge new connections in later life, or perhaps cherished friends have relocated, drifted apart, or are no longer present. These pervasive feelings of isolation can insidiously lead one to believe that a solitary existence is the sole remaining option. However, this perception is fundamentally flawed. A myriad of pathways still exist to remain connected and to rediscover the intrinsic beauty of human interaction. There is no imperative to surrender to loneliness or to resign oneself to days spent in solitude. Whether through the dynamic engagement in a community group, the stimulating enrollment in a recreational class, the joyful pursuit of a new hobby, or even the savvy utilization of technology to maintain contact with loved ones across geographical distances, opportunities abound, patiently awaiting one's initiative. Every single interaction, regardless of its perceived magnitude, bestows immense benefits upon the heart, mind, and spirit. These precious moments of shared connection, laughter, and storytelling nourish the soul in ways that may not be immediately apparent. They serve as profound reminders of one's belonging to something larger, affirming that life continues to offer an abundance of experiences and that one's intrinsic value remains undiminished. Therefore, if the tendency to avoid social interactions or to forego social activities due to perceived effort or a sense of disconnection has become prevalent, it is imperative to cease this pattern. Human interaction stands as one of the authentic secrets to graceful aging, to living with an enduring sense of joy and profound purpose, even in the most advanced years. Do not permit the deceptive comfort of isolation to stifle the resounding laughter, the enriching conversations, and the essential warmth that eagerly awaits. Each individual unequivocally deserves this, and the world, in turn, deserves to be graced by their unique stories and accumulated wisdom. The third critical habit that demands cessation is the detrimental neglect of physical health under the misguided belief that it is too late to effect any meaningful change. This particular mindset represents one of the most perilous and disheartening traps into which individuals, particularly as they age, frequently fall. It is remarkably facile to succumb to the conviction that, given the body's extensive journey through life's trials, or due to the undeniable reality of diminished youthful vigor and strength, further attention to physical well-being is inconsequential. Perhaps a self-defeating narrative has been constructed, asserting that exercise is futile, that a healthier diet is pointless, or that those persistently postponed doctor appointments are ultimately of minor importance. However, it must be stated with unequivocal clarity that this perspective is profoundly erroneous. Irrespective of whether one is navigating their 60s, 70s, or even their 80s, it is never, under any circumstance, too late to embark upon the journey of diligent self-care for the physical body. Even minor, intentionally implemented changes possess the remarkable capacity to yield an enormous and positive impact on one's overall quality of life. Every single increment of effort expended is significant. A brief, invigorating walk around the neighborhood block, a series of gentle stretching exercises to maintain flexibility, or even simple balance exercises can drastically enhance mobility and substantially mitigate the inherent risk of falls, which become more prevalent with age. These are not merely trivial routines. They represent deliberate, proactive steps toward the preservation of independence and the cultivation of an enduring sense of strength and capability. The transformative power of these seemingly small acts of self-care should never be underestimated. They are, in essence, life-altering. Furthermore, dietary choices play an absolutely pivotal role in dictating daily physiological, psychological states. A meticulously balanced and nutritious diet, replete with whole, unprocessed foods and ample hydration, can imbue an individual with an unsuspected surge of energy that was previously lacking. Such a diet serves as a potent preventative measure against the onset and progression of chronic diseases that regrettably become more prevalent in later life, including, but not limited to, diabetes, hypertension, and various forms of heart disease. Imagine the profound improvement in daily experience, a heightened sense of vitality, a significant reduction in chronic aches and pains, and the empowering knowledge that one is consistently providing the body with the optimal fuel it requires to function at its peak, even in this advanced stage of life. But here lies a truly profound insight. Prioritizing physical health extends its beneficial influence far beyond the corporeal realm. It exerts a deep and transformative impact on emotional well-being as well. When health is deliberately elevated to a position of priority, a powerful internal message is conveyed that one's existence holds intrinsic value. It serves as a consistent reminder that a vast array of life's experiences and moments of joy still await, eagerly anticipating engagement. The better the physical body feels, the more active, alert, and engaged the mind becomes. A noticeable surge in self-esteem will likely ensue, accompanied by a more positive and optimistic outlook on life. A heightened sense of capability, confidence, and vibrant aliveness will permeate daily existence, and who would not aspire to such a state? This imperative is not about a futile attempt to reverse the relentless march of time or to pretend a younger age. Rather, it is about profoundly honoring the extraordinary vessel that has faithfully carried one through the entirety of life and bestowing upon it the meticulous care and unwavering attention it unequivocally deserves. It is about seizing the maximum potential from the years that stretch ahead, ensuring they are not merely endured, but are instead replete with unyielding vitality, boundless energy, and an unwavering sense of holistic well-being. When diligent care is exercised over physical health, an invaluable investment is made in one's future, a future where the capacity to partake in cherished activities, embrace enriching experiences, and nurture meaningful relationships that imbue life with profound purpose remains robust. Therefore, definitively cease the self-limiting narrative that it is too late or that there is no point. Every incremental action taken towards enhanced health, whether it manifests as an additional walk, a thoughtfully prepared balanced meal, or a long overdue visit to the doctor, propels one closer to a life brimming with an abundance of joy, a profound sense of freedom, and ample time to savor those elements that genuinely hold the deepest significance. One's health is an unparalleled gift, a treasure that can still be meticulously nurtured, irrespective of the current stage of life. Do not abandon oneself now. An immeasurable wealth of experiences still awaits, and one deserves to approach them in the optimal state of being. The fourth critical habit that must be unequivocally abandoned is the tendency to dwell excessively in the past, permitting the potent memories of bygone eras to cast an overshadowing pall upon the vibrant potential of the present moment. It is an entirely natural human inclination to reminisce, to lovingly recall the pivotal moments that have shaped one's trajectory, to cherish the individuals once intimately known, to revisit the landscapes traversed, and to reflect upon the choices that have intricately woven the fabric of current identity. Yet, herein lies a crucial distinction. While memories are indeed invaluable treasures, they possess the dual capacity to transform into psychological chains, tethering one to a bygone era and impeding the full, unadulterated experience of the inherent beauty and boundless potential embedded within the present. To exist solely within the confines of one's memories, irrespective of their sweetness or nostalgic appeal, is to remain paradoxically incarcerated in a dimension that no longer physically exists. The profound tragedy of this entrapment is that it effectively blinds one to the myriad joys, nascent opportunities, and enriching experiences that patiently await discovery in the unfolding now. As individuals mature, a common and often limiting conviction takes root. The belief that one's most exhilarating days are irrevocably in the past, and that the vibrant excitement synonymous with life has already dissipated. This perspective frequently manifests as a recurring preoccupation with individuals from a former time, a lingering contemplation of actions wished to have been executed differently, or even a persistent regret over missed opportunities. Regret, indeed, possesses a formidable power to cloud the clarity of the present, rendering it seemingly less vibrant and compelling when juxtaposed against an idealized past. However, this mode of thinking is not only profoundly restrictive, but actively purloins the capacity to forge new moments of profound happiness and genuine fulfillment. The past is irretrievably gone, and while it is undeniably important to honor its lessons and its legacy, must not under any circumstances be permitted to exclusively define the present. For those who continue to find these insights valuable, a comment of 2 would be a welcome indication of your sustained engagement. The undeniable truth is that the present moment constitutes the sum total of our tangible existence. What is chosen to be done with the precious quantum of time available right now holds a significance that eclipses anything that has transpired before. While the past is immutable, a reality none can alter, the profound power lies in the conscious decision of how to engage with and live in the present day. There exists an unwavering choice to maximize the potential of every sunrise, to imbue every conversation with authentic presence, and to seize every opportunity that manifests itself. When one permits themselves to be inextricably shackled by the past, they are, in essence, uttering a resounding no to the future, to the magnificent, unforeseen possibilities that patiently await their unfolding. This is unequivocally not the terminus of one's journey. Rather, it marks the commencement of a new, vibrant chapter, one brimming with untapped potential, contingent only upon the willingness to metaphorically turn the page. There might be a deeply ingrained conviction that, due to one's advanced stage of life, avenues for adventure, excitement, or personal growth have been definitively foreclosed. Yet this perception is fundamentally erroneous. Life, in its infinite generosity, continues to proffer its profound gifts, irrespective of chronological age. However, an open and receptive posture is a prerequisite for their reception. Whether it involves the exhilarating pursuit of a novel hobby, the intellectual stimulation of acquiring a skill that has long piqued curiosity, or even the courageous initiative to cultivate new friendships, each passing day presents an opportunity for profound growth and authentic joy. It is unequivocally never too late to commence writing a new personal narrative, one richly adorned with elements that cultivate inner peace and profound happiness. But to achieve this, the past must be judiciously relegated to its appropriate domain, within the cherished archives of memory, without allowing it to usurp or control the vibrancy of the present. Remember, the most splendid chapters of one's life may yet lie ahead, if only the permission is granted for them to unfold. The fifth profound habit that demands immediate cessation is the continuous sacrifice of one's own happiness and well-being for the perceived benefit of others. It is deeply understood that for a multitude of individuals, particularly those who have devoted substantial portions of their lives to the role of caretaker, this behavior is perceived as inherently noble, even an inescapable necessity, rooted in a profound sense of responsibility. A deeply held conviction may exist that one's intrinsic worth is inextricably linked to the magnitude of what can be given, the number of individuals whose happiness can be fostered, or the unwavering selflessness with which family, friends, or community can be served. However, it is imperative to confront a difficult yet liberating truth. When the needs of all others are consistently prioritized above one's own, an insidious process of self-diminishment begins, leading to the gradual erosion of one's core identity. Furthermore, and perhaps more dishearteningly, there are instances where the very individuals for whom these profound sacrifices are made do not fully comprehend or appreciate immense depth of what has been relinquished. In all likelihood, years, if not decades, have been dedicated to the meticulous care of others, be it children, grandchildren, a spouse, or other cherished family members. Energy, time, and emotional reserves have been poured into ensuring the well-being and contentment of everyone else. Personal dreams have been deferred, crucial aspects of one's own health have been overlooked, and individual happiness has been systematically postponed, always with the underlying, hopeful premise that one day the focus would finally shift inward. That one day has arrived. and it is a pivotal moment to recognize with unwavering clarity that one's personal happiness holds just as much inherent value as that of anyone else. It has been profoundly earned. Herein lies a stark and often painful reality. When the act of self-sacrifice for others becomes a continuous, unwavering pattern, a point is inevitably reached where this generosity is taken for granted. Individuals become so deeply accustomed to the willingness to assist, to give, to consistently set aside personal needs, that they cease to perceive the immense toll it exacts upon the one providing the care. And, even more detrimentally, over an extended period, they may even begin to implicitly expect it. This does not necessarily stem from a lack of care or affection on their part, but rather because, through consistent behavior, a precedent has been established, a training that reinforces the notion that one's own needs are secondary. This, unequivocally, is a precarious and detrimental position to inhabit. Every individual possesses an inherent right to prioritize themselves, to elevate their own well-being, and to live the life they have always envisioned. It is not an act of selfishness to care for oneself. It is an indispensable necessity. The metaphor of the empty cup resonates profoundly here. One cannot pour from an empty vessel, and after years of incessant giving, one's own cup may be perilously close to depletion. The truth is an empowering one. Full entitlement exists to pursue personal happiness, to diligently care for one's physical and mental health, and to allocate precious time to activities that genuinely ignite joy. Whether this entails the courageous act of saying no more frequently, establishing firm and healthy boundaries with those who have grown dependent, or consciously carving out dedicated time solely for oneself, the imperative is to begin making oneself an undeniable priority. A lifetime has been spent in the act of giving. Now it is an opportune moment to bestow a profound gift upon oneself, the unequivocal permission to be happy. Embark on that long-desired trip, dedicate time to nurturing cherished hobbies and passions, and allow oneself the profound luxury of rest without the accompanying burden of guilt. One is not a machine meticulously constructed for endless servitude to others. One is a human being, inherently deserving of care, love, and happiness. It is time to cease the detrimental practice of elevating everyone else's happiness above one's own. Therefore, stop sacrificing yourself for others. Sufficient giving has been accomplished. The time has arrived to redirect a portion of that profound love, diligent care, and unwavering attention inward, for a life replete with joy, profound peace, and the freedom to live on one's own terms is unequivocally deserved. Do not await external permission. Grant it to oneself today. In this advanced stage of life, it is crucial to confront a sometimes difficult, even uncomfortable, reality. Enough is enough with nullifying oneself solely to please others. This assertion might initially sound controversial or unsettling, but the harsh, undeniable truth is this. While years may have been spent in profound sacrifice, bending over backward to assist those in one's sphere, the very individuals who have received so much might be navigating their own lives without a second thought, continuing as usual, making not the slightest effort to reciprocate or alleviate the burdens carried. It is a profoundly painful realization, is it not? For countless years, the role of the steadfast rock, the unwavering caregiver, the individual who consistently said yes when all others demurred, has been occupied. However, what many are reluctant to admit, and what one might internally resist acknowledging, is that over time, this relentless cycle of constant sacrifice can inadvertently foster something unexpected: resentment. It begins as a faint whisper, gradually amplifying until it transforms into a resounding truth. After dedicating years to others, after countless acts of profound kindness and meticulous care, the recognition and support quietly hoped for have often failed to materialize. The appreciation genuinely deserved, the love so generously poured into others, has not been returned in the anticipated manner. And here lies the ultimate consequence. If this trajectory of endless self-sacrifice is continued, not only will personal happiness be irrevocably renounced, but a state of complete physical and emotional depletion will inevitably ensue. exhaustion will insidiously creep in, akin to a slow, pervasive fog, until one day, awakening, the profound question arises: what about me? When do I get to live for myself? It is an imperative for one's own sake and no one else's to definitively break this destructive cycle. Prioritizing oneself is not an act of selfishness. In fact, it represents the most essential and profound act of self-love that can be bestowed. It is not merely permissible, but essential to prioritize one's own needs, for ultimately, who will provide care if not oneself? It is time to empower those around to shoulder their own responsibilities, to cease carrying the metaphorical weight of the world on one's shoulders. The moment has arrived to focus on self-care, for no one possesses the capacity to do it more effectively than oneself. The sixth critical habit that demands immediate cessation is the detrimental practice of ignoring one's own physical and emotional limits, often driven by an underlying fear of appearing weak or incapable. There exists a deeply ingrained societal belief, particularly as individuals advance in age, that admitting an inability to perform certain tasks equates to a capitulation to the aging process. The utterance of phrases such as "I can't" or "I need help" is often perceived as a revelation of some inherent failure, as though acknowledging one's limitations somehow signifies a loss of vitality or strength. However, this ingrained mentality is not only profoundly erroneous, but also inherently perilous. It is precisely the refusal to acknowledge legitimate limits that can lead to genuine harm. The persistent attempt to compel oneself to perform every task undertaken in earlier life stages, whether it involves lifting heavy objects, maintaining a perpetually hectic pace, or deliberately disregarding the clear signals of emotional and physical fatigue, is an explicit invitation to trouble. The undeniable reality is that one's body and mind are no longer precisely as they were at 30, 40, or even 50 years of age. And this truth is entirely acceptable. It is a normal, universal aspect of the human experience that time progresses for everyone, and to deliberately ignore this fundamental reality constitutes one of the most significant errors an individual can make. Reflect for a moment on the myriad individuals known who push themselves beyond sustainable limits only to ultimately suffer serious injuries or debilitating health issues that, with a modicum of self-awareness and adjustment, could have been entirely averted. Consider how many individuals steadfastly refuse to admit their exhaustion, their pain, or their inability to manage a situation independently, and consequently paid a steep price. Such occurrences are lamentably frequent. The profound truth is that the most authentic strength one can demonstrate does not reside in the pretense of invincibility, but rather in the discerning wisdom of recognizing when to take a strategic step back, when to solicit assistance, and when to confidently declare, "I have done enough." The stark reality is that endeavoring to live as though one were still in their younger years, whether through physically pushing the body beyond its inherent limits or through the deliberate suppression of emotional stress, can precipitate severe and lasting consequences. The body is an eloquent communicator, often sending clear signals that a period of deceleration, rest, and enhanced self-care is imperative. However, if these crucial signals are consistently disregarded, the ultimate price exacted could be far greater than initially comprehended. Aging is not synonymous with resignation or surrender. Rather, it represents a dynamic process of adaptation, evolution, and a graceful embrace of the inevitable changes that accompany the passage of time. It is an act of profound reverence for the body that has faithfully carried one through countless years, and a commitment to bestowing upon it the meticulous care it unequivocally deserves. It is about understanding that true wisdom emanates from the conscious awareness of one's limits, not from the illusory denial of their existence. By consciously recognizing and respecting both physical and emotional boundaries, not only is self-protection achieved, but more significantly, the opportunity is granted to live a healthier, more intrinsically balanced life. There is absolutely no shame in articulating, "I need to take it easy," or "I cannot accomplish this on my own." Such declarations are unequivocally indicative of wisdom and maturity, signifying a profound recognition of when it is opportune to moderate one's pace. Therefore, cease the self-defeating endeavor of compelling oneself to embody the person of 20 or 30 years ago. Embrace the individual one is now, replete with the accumulated experiences, profound knowledge, and resilient strength that have been forged over time. The right has been earned to live at one's own pace, to diligently care for oneself, and to savor life without the relentless pressure of perpetually exceeding personal limits. It is time to relinquish the fear of appearing weak and to wholeheartedly embrace the profound strength inherent in the self-awareness of one's boundaries. Nothing is lost by acknowledging limits. Rather, the invaluable freedom to live more fully and healthfully is gained. Therefore, take a deep, restorative breath, grant oneself the essential permission to rest, and remember that intrinsic worth is not tethered to physical capabilities. It is inextricably linked to the extraordinary person one has become over the years, and no amount of slowing down can ever diminish that fundamental truth. This directive does not advocate for the cessation of beloved activities, but rather emphasizes the crucial imperative to adapt those activities to the current physiological and psychological realities of one's body and mind. The profound understanding of one's limits is not a mark of weakness, but, conversely, a testament to genuine wisdom. It demands considerable strength and courage to acknowledge that certain endeavors may no longer be suitable or right, and this realization is entirely, unequivocally, okay. The act of saying no, or recognizing this is no longer for me, is not a forfeiture. It is a powerful act of self-care, a profound method of honoring both physical and emotional well-being. By comprehending and respecting these intrinsic boundaries, not only are accidents and complications prevented, but precious energy reserves are conserved for those pursuits that genuinely matter, those endeavors that bring authentic joy and profound fulfillment. Now, let us turn our attention to the seventh, and often most overlooked, habit that must be definitively abandoned: the avoidance of sexual relationships, frequently rationalized by the belief that one has somehow passed the age for it, or that intimacy is simply no longer for you. This represents one of the most pervasive and damaging myths surrounding older age, and it is unequivocally time to shatter it once and for all. Sexuality, in its fundamental essence, possesses no expiration date, and the deeply ingrained notion that desire somehow mysteriously wanes or vanishes with advancing years is simply not true. Sexual intimacy can, and indeed should, continue to be a vital and enriching component of one's life at every stage, profoundly including later life. Regrettably, a significant number of individuals neglect this profoundly important aspect of their existence, often due to a pervasive sense of shame, an unfounded fear, or the erroneous assumption that they no longer qualify for such experiences. However, it must be stated with absolute conviction, nothing could be further from the truth. The undeniable fact is that when approached with a healthy, open mindset, sexual intimacy remains an incredibly potent source of pleasure, deep emotional connection, and holistic physical well-being at any chronological age. Sadly, one of the primary impediments preventing many older adults from fully embracing their sexuality stems from both societal and internalized prejudice. Society has meticulously conditioned us to believe that sex is an experience exclusively reserved for the young, as though it were a transient privilege that diminishes or entirely disappears with the passage of time. But this is a profound falsehood, a pervasive lie that tragically deprives countless individuals of an intrinsically important and deeply fulfilling dimension of life. In reality, intimacy experienced in older age can often be imbued with an even greater depth of meaning. As the years gently unfold, physical closeness assumes a more profound value, extending far beyond the mere physical act itself. It evolves into an exquisite tapestry of connection, of touch, and of profound emotional bonding, all of which are absolutely essential for maintaining a high and enduring quality of life. Sexual intimacy is not solely confined to physical pleasure. It encompasses the profound sensation of closeness with another human being, the sharing of an experience that brings forth joy, warmth, and an unparalleled sense of comfort. As one ages, these very elements become even more precious, serving to enrich both the physical body and the indomitable spirit. Another significant factor that frequently deters older adults from maintaining a fulfilling sexual relationship is the understandable concern about performance, or the natural physiological changes the body undergoes with age. It is entirely normal and expected for the human body to transform over time, and these changes may indeed influence the experience of physical intimacy. However, it is crucial to offer reassurance. These changes in no way signify the cessation of pleasure or intimacy. On the contrary, with age comes a profound reservoir of wisdom, and with wisdom comes a deeper, more nuanced understanding of what genuinely brings satisfaction, what one truly desires, and how to effectively communicate those desires to a partner. Many older adults discover that they can explore their sexuality with an unprecedented degree of freedom and significantly less pressure as they age. The often unrealistic expectations of youth concerning performance, outward appearances, and the perceived correct way to engage in intimacy gracefully begin to fall away. What remains is a more relaxed, comfortable, and profoundly authentic approach to intimacy, one that allows for a deeper and more sustained satisfaction. The focus shifts from impressing others or conforming to external standards to the genuine enjoyment of the experience itself, to being fully present in the moment with a partner, and to sharing an act of profound love, unwavering trust, and genuine connection. The key lies in the willingness to adapt to the new realities of one's body and to proactively discover what resonates and works best. Perhaps things do not function exactly as they did in younger years, but this in no way implies an inability to continue enjoying a rich, satisfying sexual life. It is about exploring innovative ways to maintain intimacy, about liberating oneself from outdated standards, and about discovering what genuinely brings pleasure and fulfillment now. Whether this involves enhanced communication with a partner, the exploration of different methods of connection, or simply embracing the profound emotional dimensions of intimacy, the possibilities are boundless. The most vital truth to internalize is that one's sexuality is intrinsically one's own. It is not an attribute that mysteriously dissipates with age. It is, and will forever remain, an integral facet of who one is. And irrespective of chronological age, every individual unequivocally deserves to experience love, pleasure, and genuine connection. There exists no right age for intimacy, and there is certainly no age limit imposed on desire. Therefore, definitively cease believing the pervasive myth that one has aged out of this essential dimension of life. Embrace one's sexuality with the same profound wisdom and self-assured confidence that naturally accompanies advancing age, and it will be discovered that it continues to bring immense joy, deep fulfillment, and profound meaning to life, irrespective of the current stage one is navigating. Furthermore, the extensive benefits of sex in older age extend far beyond the immediate pleasure it provides. Consistent research unequivocally demonstrates that maintaining an active sexual life can profoundly enhance overall health and well-being. It transcends mere emotional connection. The physical act of sex itself confers tangible, long-lasting benefits for both the body and mind. For instance, studies indicate that regular sexual activity can lead to significant improvements in mental health, a robust strengthening of the immune system, and even a measurable reduction in the risk of heart disease. How utterly remarkable is that? By simply engaging in intimacy, one is actively imparting a powerful boost of resilience and vitality to their body. During sexual activity, the body orchestrates the release of a magnificent cocktail of hormones, including endorphins and oxytocin, widely recognized as the feel-good hormones. These potent chemical messengers play a profoundly significant role in elevating mood, effectively alleviating stress, and contributing to an overarching sense of profound well-being. Oxytocin, in particular, is frequently lauded as the love hormone due to its powerful capacity to foster feelings of deep closeness and intense bonding with one's partner. This implies that by actively avoiding sex, one might inadvertently be missing out on one of their most powerful natural allies for diligently maintaining both physical and emotional health. The profound relaxation and pervasive happiness that typically follow sexual intimacy can ripple beneficially throughout one's day-to-day life, leaving an individual with a heightened sense of energy and a markedly more positive outlook. However, it is absolutely crucial to remember that when it comes to sexuality, especially in older age, there is no single one-size-fits-all paradigm. Each person's journey is uniquely individual, and there exists no universal rule dictating what one's sexual life should or must encompass as one ages. The most paramount consideration is that one feels authentically comfortable and deeply satisfied with their personal choices. If sexual desire continues to be a vibrant and meaningful part of one's life, and for a multitude of individuals it very much is, then by no means should age or deeply ingrained societal prejudice be permitted to convince one otherwise. Every individual possesses an inherent right to explore and profoundly enjoy this dimension of their life now, with as much fervor and fulfillment as they did in their younger years. For those still engaged with this exploration, a comment of 3 is a meaningful acknowledgement of your continued presence. If feelings of uncertainty or hesitation persist, it is highly advisable to dedicate time to seeking out comprehensive information, to engage in open and honest conversations with a partner, and, if deemed necessary, to consult with a qualified healthcare professional. A wealth of resources and viable options are readily available to assist in navigating the natural physical changes that may accompany age, all while diligently maintaining a satisfying and active sexual life. Remember, this is a vital and intrinsically valuable part of who one is, and it should unequivocally continue to be a profound source of joy, comfort, and deep satisfaction, irrespective of chronological age. Life, in its dynamic essence, does not cease, and the myriad pleasures it offers, whether emotional, intellectual, or physical, need not, and indeed should not, cease either. As we have now meticulously reached the culmination of this profound discussion, it is of paramount importance to engage in a thoughtful reflection upon the various habits that have been rigorously examined. These are habits that, for many years, may have appeared utterly harmless, or perhaps even entirely indispensable, but in the advanced stage of life, they possess the insidious potential